Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Standards of Geekness podcast YouTube page. It's Evan back here with another Pokemon TCG Pocket video. This time we're going to be recapping this weekend's big 30th anniversary event, kind of just going at a high level in terms of what the metagame was, what the results were. We had a little bit of repeats in the top 8, so I'm not going to go through every deck list, but we'll go through the final 8 that we saw. There's a really interesting one that I'll cover towards the end that I think it might be a sleeper in terms of how it's positioned, and it's something that I'm probably going to mess around with on stream over the next couple weeks. Without further ado, let's jump into some metagame data. All right. Well, as you guys can see here on the screen, the combined results between day 1 and day 2. The most played deck was Magnezone Bellybolt EX, 16% of the meta, a 54.09 win rate across the entire event. It actually was what ended up taking down the event. If you were following me on Threads, make sure you are, but I posted my version of this there Friday night. The deck is just really, really strong. We'll get into the specifics here in a little bit. Next up was Mega Altaria EX and Greninja. This is a deck that primarily seeks to not only put pressure on your bench, but put pressure on your opponent in terms of hitting for 130, then hitting for 130 plus another 20 from Greninja. It actually didn't have a great time this weekend. It had a 45.21 win rate with 15% of the meta share, so overall not super great. Third most played deck was Suicune EX and Baxcalibur. That had 11% of the field. It had a 42% win rate. That tells me that the deck was probably not well positioned going into the event, especially given the amount of Magnezone Bellybolt. And then to wrap it up, the fourth most played deck was Greninja Mega Absol EX. This actually was a deck a while ago that a lot of people, I think, just put on the back burner just because it wasn't as strong as some other options. Hydreigon and Mega Absol EX was the flavor of the town. That actually was the sixth most played deck. The win rate, but for the Greninja Mega Absol EX deck was 54.69, so actually better in terms of than Magnezone Bellybolt EX. The deck is really well positioned into a wide open field. I think that its win rate might, even go up, especially as the metagame kind of congeals a little bit. And then there's other various flavors of Bellybolt EX, Hydreigon. Alolan Ninetales and Baxcalibur is an interesting one that I saw pop up. Overall, it's a pretty great event, and congrats to everyone who participated and those that made it to the final 8. Let's jump into some deck lists, guys. So we're back at it here with overall number 1 first place deck list. Creamy Lotion ended up taking down the event, so congratulations with a 14-2 record. It's, as you can see, it's pretty well rounded. He has 2 copies of Magnemite, 2 copies of Magneton, 2 copies of Magnezone. This Magnezone in particular is probably just a strict upgrade. I've seen a lot of people do a 1-1 split. I myself was doing a 1-1 split for a while, but after testing this a lot, this list, you want both. We've got 1 copy of Oricorio, 1 copy of Tadbulb, and 1 copy of Bellybolt EX. We've got 1 copy of Pokeball, 1 Lucky Ice Pop, 2 Giant Capes, 2 Professor's Research, a Cyrus, a Clement, a Copycat, and Alicia. Now, Alicia in particular is a really linchpin to this deck because it functions as kind of like a Pokeball and a half. So that's why you can get away with trimming a Pokeball because, it's going to always hit a Magnemite or it's going to hit hit the Magnemites. And then just allow you to kind of functionally always make sure you have those. Bellybolt EX has been super, super well positioned in terms of how aggressive it can be versus the field. I'm not surprised that this took down the event. And like I've mentioned, if you're not following me on Threads, I'm usually posting what I believe will take down the event, or at least what I believe is the best positioned over there. It's Easy Jones 25. Same as my username. I'm going to make sure to embed all my socials in our stuff from now on. That way you guys can find my content wherever you're at. Let's go ahead and move on to the second place deck. All right, we're back here with the second place deck. Kana 41 with a 13-2-1 record with Greninja Mega Absol. The deck is just really well positioned in terms of, an open field. We've got 1 copy of Darkrai EX, which is secretly allows you and Greninja to kind of chip away at other decks, just putting a lot of pressure. You got 2 Froakies, 2 Greninja, 2 Chinglings, 1 copy of Mega Absol EX, 1 red card, 2 Pokeballs, 2 rare candies, 1 Rocky helmet, 1 inflatable boat, 2 Professor's Research, 1 Cyrus, and 2 copycats. Honestly, with the way this is played for me, it plays a lot like a mid-range deck, like the Hydreigon Mega Absol, but it's got the ability to attack on different axes. It's just overall really well positioned, and I do recommend picking it up and learning it. It does have a little bit of a learning curve, not quite to the extent of like Suicune, Excalibur, but I think this is better positioned, and its metagame share will only go up. We're back at it here. This is the 4th place list. Game Prodigy 88 with a 12-2-1 record with Mega Altaria Gorgeist. 3rd place is Bellybolt EX Zerazora. It's a pretty standard list, but shout out to SS Eisen. Same record, 12-2-1. I figured, we've already covered Bellybolt, so we'll kind of get into a little bit more of the other decks of this. And this is an interesting one. It's kind of a hyper aggressive take on Mega Altaria Chingling. So let's dive right into the list. We've got 2 Pumpkaboos, which is 1 energy for 20 damage. Then you got Gorgeist, 1 energy for 70 damage, and you have to discard a card. 1 Jirachi, 2 Chinglings, 2 Swabbles, 2 Mega Altaria EX, 1 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research, 1 Sabrina, 1 Cyrus, 1 Mars, 1 Copycat, 1 Lycia, and then 1 Training Area. Training Area kind of functions as a permanent Giovanni for the deck, so I understand, especially with Gorgeist hitting for 80, if you can hit 2 turns on some of the Megas with Gorgeist, it can actually just be game over. Overall, it's just a really well-positioned aggressive deck. I do think it's a little bit of a dog to the Mega Absol Greninja deck, just because being able to chip away and constantly put pressure on is a thing. I do think that this deck also probably isn't super great against the Hydreigon Mega Absol deck, just because obviously this is a psychic-based deck. It has a natural weakness to that, and they just go over the top of you so efficiently. And we're back here with what I affectionately call Spooky Dogs. This was the 6th place list played by Alolan J. It is Gorgeist Houndstone. For 5th, 7th, and 8th, those are all Greninja Mega Absol EX decks. They're all pretty much standard. Shout out to Hieranto, Silver Onion, and Robs. And a special shout out to our day 1 undefeated player EX Art from our same list from the Mega Altaria EX Chingling video. His deck was super sweet. I've been rocking it in some of the versus events and some solo modes and just playing random battles with people. But yeah, let's dive deep into this one. We've got 2 Pumpkaboo, 2 Gorgeist, 2 Grieveyard, which is just really, really strong. And then Houndstone is deceptively strong, especially if you can kind of keep churning with Houndstone and Melota, just keep pitching your Psychics. Eventually, you're just going to deal an insane amount of damage. 2 Chingling, 2 Melioda, 1 Pokeball, 2 Professor's Research, 1 Cyrus, 1 Mars, 1 Copycat, and then 2 Peculiar Plaza. This is the first time I've seen somebody in the 20 card format use multiple copies of the same stadium. Just being able to hit it is pretty good. Being able to retreat your Houndstone back to apply pressure in other ways is just fundamentally super strong. Overall, I can't really complain about this deck. Honestly, it looks like the most fun of the entire tournament. I, for one, probably going to do a deck profile on this one, as well as some of the other ones with some gameplay. I'm looking forward to that, and let's go ahead and head to our wrap-up. As always, make sure you go to duelingguard.com, enter the code SOG15 for 15% off all your gaming merchandise needs. They've got tons of sweet deck boxes, binders, mats. They've got Dragon Ball Z, Fried Ren, My Hero Academia, One Piece, Pokemon, Invincible's one of the newest lines. That's our podcast sponsor, and we really appreciate every bit you guys buy from them. Goes to helping the podcast and helping us to create cool content like this. I'm hoping that we can keep this train rolling. We've been on kind of a consistent bit with our content, but make sure you subscribe. Make sure you let us know your thoughts. We're looking at possibly getting some type of tournaments of our own going on the YouTube page, and we would love to help you guys help yourselves and kind of put yourselves over we started as a wrestling podcast, so that's the best way I can frame it. As always, catch you guys on the flip side.